And welcome back for episode 4 of the Filmcast. I guess we can just call it for now just to make it easier. Today, the main movie that was reviewed is Room. But before we get into that, did you happen to see the UFC fight on the weekend? Since this actually was originally a sports podcast, I figured we'd mix something into it.
Honestly, I didn't. I didn't watch it. I just caught the highlights and everything. Was it pay-per-view?
Yeah, like at 10 o'clock it was.
Yeah, I caught one or two of the prelim fights which were still pretty good. But yeah, I just watched some movies instead.
Yeah, I watched the entire card. It was it was first of all just really nice to see sports, but other than that, Dana White just stacked the card because there weren't any other fights going on and they needed to fill the card. So it was just fight after fight. It was amazing. And especially when it got into the main card, it was just ridiculous. And Tony Ferguson, it was nice to see him get his ass kicked. That was Justin Gaethje beat him down. Like his face was so busted up after it.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting. Like everyone wanted to see Khabib and Tony, but
I know. But now, like Tony kind of screwed himself over because, I mean, I guess he wanted to take it so he didn't seem like he was like scared of taking a fight. But he had really nothing to gain from it. If he won, it wouldn't have moved him in the ranks. It would have just been like, hey, I can beat this guy. But from losing, he loses everything.
Done, yeah.
Now Justin Gaethje is going to get the shot at Khabib and not him.
Yeah, but I mean, good for him for entertaining us for an evening, I guess.
That's true. And then Cejudo retired.
He probably made an insane amount of money regardless because there was probably definitely an inflation in the pay-per-views.
But, Cejudo retired after he beat Dominic Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
Francis Ngannou won in like 30 seconds.
I saw that. That was crazy.
Anthony Pettis and Cerrone went down to the end, that was a fun fight. And that was in the prelims as well. So that shows you how packed
That's what I'm saying. The prelims were pretty exciting.
Yeah, they were really exciting. Even the first fight was really good. It was just, nice to just drink beers and watch sports again. So that was good. But anyways, that's pretty much, I guess, all the news. And just watching TV today and like any day, it's getting so annoying. All they talk about is Michael Jordan, and they talk about the same stuff over and over again.
Yeah.
Like, well, it just sucks.
Even before all of this stuff happened, I feel like First Take is like they recycle the same argument of LeBron versus like.
And I still find them watching them, I swear, like every morning, but still, like, they talk about the same stuff. It's always Michael Jordan. It's always like top 10s about Michael Jordan. Like, But yes, either way, let's get into this movie because there's a good amount to talk about. Like we said, Room, which was another A24 production, like Midsommar. Again, I didn't look up a video of how it's pronounced, but we're going with Midsommar. But Room is a 2015 independent drama film directed by Lenny Abrahamson, I think that's how you pronounce it, and written by Emma Donoghue, and it's based on her 2010 novel of the same name. And little description here: after years of being held captive in an isolated shed by a kidnapper, Joy and her little son, Jack, manage to escape the confinement and gain their freedom. So what did you think about this movie?
This was tough to get through, and I think it would be for anyone. I almost turned it off a couple times. Especially in the beginning, it was really disturbing. But then once you kind of get set into this environment, you kind of get hooked in a way because you're just rooting for them, right? And and I think a lot of the reason wasn't part of the main actors, like Brie Larson,
incredible, like
Jacob Tremblay, ridiculous. I think it was probably a near perfect performance from both of them.
God damn, it was so good.
Especially, I have to give the most credit to Jacob Tremblay because not only was he totally convincing in his scenario in the sense that he's trouble.
He doesn't know anything else.
Yeah, he's trouble adjusting to his new life outside of the world, or he's trouble making connections with anyone, especially men. We see a lot. But the fact, so he could have probably been nominated as Best Actor, I think.
That's what I was gonna talk about that. Like, I thought I don't know why he wouldn't, maybe because he's a little kid, but the kid from Jojo Rabbit, I forget his name, he got nominated. So, I mean, I don't know why he was overlooked. That was also just 2015. We'll get to the Oscars, but like or 2016. That's the next Oscars we'll do. Like, amazing year for movies. But yeah, no, I thought he could have had it. And he was saying that it was actually pretty easy for him to act in it because he, like, at least the beginning parts, because he just had to act like a happy kid, which he was. So he was just kind of being himself. And that's exactly how it came off in the movie. He looked like, which it was, he's just ignorant to anything outside the house. And he's just living the life he the best possibly could with so much imagination. And that's also what made the story so, like, interesting. Like, he's kind of in this, like, imaginary world where he thinks people outside they're yelling to, like, aliens, like, why aren't the aliens scream back? Or he just thinks that, like, everything he's watching, the TV's in the TV. He thinks food comes from the TV by magic. It's just, like, so, like, oblivious to everything, but she's, like, seen the world, so you know what she's going through. And, like, they're there physically together, but for her it must be so tough to be with somebody that's not there mentally because they don't really know the situation you're into. And that's why she's like, you need to get this together, we need to get out of here.
Yeah, like, one of the biggest things for me about after this movie, it just, like, it makes you appreciate everything so much more, first of all, but then secondly, I think this is the one movie that I've seen where it's completely content with being a one-time watch.
Oh,
Like,
definitely. You don't need to watch it again.
you don't need to see it again, but
As
that's
long as
not a
you
bad
paid attention
thing.
fully the first time and, like, took in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Like,
And credit to Emma Donoghue because she wrote the screenplay, and the fact that it's not easy to translate a book to a movie. We've seen that in a lot of cases, but definitely there was a big reason. There was not a lot that I disliked about this movie at all. Like,
facts.
the only negative thing I have to say about it is that there were times where I was kind of confused, and it's confused of whether or not that would have been the actual outcome of a situation. So what I mean by that is so let's say the kid gets out of the truck and the guy goes and chases him. He ends up leaving him, and I just kind of find it hard to believe that he would do that because of how invested he's been with hiding these two for the past 5 years. And I honestly thought what was going to happen was that they were going to go to the house and Brie Larson was going to be dead.
Exactly.
And it didn't turn out that way, but yeah.
But then I was thinking that exact same thing. But then when I thought about it more, it made complete sense because I don't think he was never, like, in the place to kill somebody. I think he just had, like, this sick, like, thing in his head where he liked the power of keeping them captive. And what I thought is that, so he has the kid, kind of bringing the kid with him. They're going to catch him somehow. So because he didn't even go back to the house. I think his whole thing was everything just hit the fan, leave the kid and leave town and try to escape and be on the run. I think he was just trying to get out of there because there's going to be no use of, like, making the situation tougher and having to, like, because he never wanted them to leave the shed, right? He doesn't, like, because bringing them around, it'd be so hard to keep them quiet, where it's like it's best just for him to get out of there. But
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, but that was, like, the only comment I had, and I was initially, like, skeptical when I saw that even after they were both free, there was still, like, an hour left in the movie. But it turned, like, completely around into a story about just adjusting from
It was like a nice beat transition in a rap song. Like, it just, if it works, like, it was like a whole different movie, but, like, the same movie at the same time.
Yeah, because, like, the director could have taken this in a completely different direction. He could have made it, like, a gritty and more dramatic story where it's just, like, about the escape and more suspense and stuff. But,
like, more action packed, I guess. Yeah, which it didn't need to be.
I thought it played out amazing in terms of, like, the character arc of Brie Larson, because she's constantly, she's put in a position to raise a child in this horrific circumstance, and she has to, first of all, you think about, she has to create a world for him in this room and try to explain what the heck is going on with no help at all.
Without even knowing if she's ever going to get out and get to show him the world.
Yeah. And then not only that, once they are actually free, she has no real time to let her guard down because she's constantly trying to remain strong for her son. And um, I thought in terms of a mother-son connection, this was probably one of the most like authentic performances I've seen
And you
ever.
could tell, and like I watched a bunch of interviews with them, like they were very close off screen. Like they're still like really close friends now. So
Mhm.
I think, which is imperative in the role. Like if you're gonna act like it, you have to have some connection to make it believable. But like, yeah, it's kind of like what I said about in Midsummer with the main character, how like it was realistic, how like she just didn't get past how the death of her family, like it was a big part of the movie. It's like in some things where even action movies where or horror movies where crazy thing happens, the characters after it just seem to just get over it because it's a movie. But this movie did a good job of showing that, like, because you'd think they're out, they're free, they've been captors for 7 years, it's just gonna be happy. But it's like,
Yeah.
no, what they went through was just really traumatic, and she's having trouble adjusting. Like her dad doesn't even like accept her kid. She's fighting with her mom. Like there's a stepdad in the house now. Like
Well, and that's the thing too. Like, I won't even say that they went out of their way to make this the worst case scenario. I would say like a worst case scenario after the fact of this, like traumatic experience. I would say,
just realistic.
yeah, like it's not just going to be a happy ending when you're gone. You've experienced so much crap throughout like 7 years, and yeah, and I like you were talking about how dedicated they were to their roles. I saw Brie Larson. She actually went into isolation.
Isolation for a month, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Before
was
all
thinking
this
about, it's
happened.
like kind of like what we're doing, but she didn't have internet or like anything, so she was
No.
really just chilling.
Um, yeah. Also, credit to the cinematographer. He made like the room seem like a lot bigger because
Bigger.
it was
Yeah.
from the perspective of Jacob a lot of the times. And then I found that when they tried to switch it over to the perspective of Brie Larson, you really saw how small it was. And they actually filmed in that
Yeah.
space, which is
Yeah.
like insane to me. So
Um, the best decision was like the kind of, you're looking at it from the perspective of the kid, which makes it so much more interesting, and his description of like the world he's living in and everything. And yeah, he's just so oblivious to it, and it's so funny, and so it gives it kind of like a happy mood, but it's still like the themes and what it is depressing. It just makes it a little more cheery. But I mean, yeah, I teared up multiple times in this. It
yeah,
got to me multiple
definitely.
times. Like there was one,
Um,
oh, it was about, I was about to let the hatchets open.
well, and it also doesn't help that we decided to watch this. Well, I did. I started to watch this on Mother's Day, which is
Yeah, I
like
watched it last night. Yeah.
like ridiculous. And
Mm.
um, one other thing about the cinematography, like how when Jack finally gets out of that rug and he's looking around, all the shots from then on out are like pretty disorienting,
Yeah.
and it's just because he's like, "What is going on?" And um,
It's such a crazy concept.
yeah,
This guy just never lived outside of a room.
yeah, and so it was hard because a lot of the times when he was trying to talk to the police officer and stuff, it was frustrating for me
I
because
wanted to
I was
smack him
like,
in the face.
yeah,
I literally have that written in my notes. Him trying to talk to the cops, extremely frustrating. I was so
yeah,
angry at him.
it's frustrating, but you also have to realize he's never talked to another human being in his life.
He just escaped acting being dead
Yeah,
in a rug. And like, yeah, even when he was getting carried away, the neighbor was asking like what's wrong, and he wasn't saying anything. I'm like,
yeah,
dude, make a noise. And then he tried giving him the note, but then the guy took the note. I'm like, oh.
yeah, yeah, and just like how Brie Larson's character, of course, tries to get. Well, was she trying to kill herself, or was
Yeah,
she?
she tried to commit
Yeah,
suicide. I don't know really how. It doesn't really explain that, whether it was drugs or how
yeah.
she did it, but I mean, she was puking, so it seemed like
I thought she was.
overdose.
I thought she was just trying to like. I thought she had bulimia or something and was
Yeah,
just
I don't
trying
know
to
what
kill
it,
herself.
but yeah, because when I looked it up, it said that she was trying to commit suicide. And but then, oh, and then the kid narrates and he's like, mom wanna go to heaven, but she left me, Dumbo ma, and you're just like,
Yeah,
oh, this kid. And you
and
just get, wait, continue.
the hair thing. How he's like, we need to
Mm.
cut my hair and send it to my mom. I'm like, wow,
Yeah,
wow.
because it's his strength and he wanted her to be strong. I just
Yeah,
got so committed to the character that even when the stepdad became like really good with the kid, that was getting me emotional because he wasn't getting it from the other grandfather, and he had like a male figure, and then the dog shows up, and you're like, God, this everything. The movie is just it's an experience.
And so I didn't want to write my notes on this until the next day I watched it, because I felt like I would have just gone at this completely subjectively. I feel like I would have been very overwhelmed with everything I just saw, and like I thought maybe giving it a day would have made me rationalize my thoughts about the movie, but it's one of the most powerful things I've seen in a very long time, and rarely are there any flaws from beginning to end.
And seeing Captain Marvel, Brie Larson, to this Brie Larson, she's like, what? Like, not that she's bad in Captain Marvel, but like we said, like, yeah, Marvel's a little more of a formula, and characters aren't going to be able to just break out like somebody in Room is. Like, and so it's not even comparable. They're both insane. Oh, and so the scene when they finally meet up, and he's in the cop car and she runs from the back.
Yeah.
I let it loose. There was nothing I could do there.
Yeah, there's a lot of tough spots throughout this movie, and that's what I was saying. It's not easy to get through.
But that's at least like a good moment where just like they're together. It is just but it's so sad at the same time. It's just like just thinking about it. And apparently, so when they filmed that scene, the director went to Brie Larson and they were in the shed, and she's like, okay, you're just gonna open the shed and go look for Jack in the front yard. She didn't say there was gonna be cops there. She didn't even say there was nothing. She said just go look for her, or go look for him. So like that was all super genuine. She said like, because you can kind of see like when she met with the cops, she like pushed them away because she's like, why are you even touching me? Like she was in like she was pretty much method acting, like she was in a really intense space. And I mean, that's why she was just sobbing her eyes out. And then apparently when she jumped in the car to go and hug him, she like smacked her head off the roof. But like she doesn't remember any of it because she was just so in the moment. And you could tell, like, if you haven't watched this movie, you need to watch this movie.
Yeah, and we said it. I went back and watched our last thing for Midsommar, and at the end I was like, this is gonna be sad. This is gonna not be the greatest experience, but
it's also much better than I thought it was gonna be.
Yes, I will say that. I remember at the time when this came out, it was nominated for quite a lot, and it's filmed in Toronto as well, which is really cool to see all the stuff.
Yeah, you could tell when they were driving by, like, that's Toronto. And they were skating at City Hall, so you're like, yeah, it's definitely Toronto.
And another thing about Jacob Tremblay's character is, like, he's so attached to the room because
he wants to go back.
Yeah, and at first that was another frustrating part, but then you just think, like,
it's all he's ever known.
He doesn't know anything else, and that's where he's comfortable. So
even when they just got out, when he was in the cop car, he's like, can we go to bed? And she's like, yeah, we're going there now. He's like, he wanted to go right back to the room to sleep. Yeah. And then even at the end, he's like, just for a visit. And then I like how they tied it back where the movie starts with him saying good morning to all like the parts of the room. And then at the end, he says goodbye to them. Yeah. So it's like he's still connected with the room. It's obviously going to be a part of him.
Yeah, that kid is going to have an interesting upbringing for sure.
He's going to be an interesting adult, that's for sure. And he's also the actor Jacob Tremblay in Good Boys. I mean, we should review that later down the road too. That's a good one.
And it also touches on a couple different subjects in terms of that situation where Brie Larson's being interviewed, and they often, the interviewer tells her, like, did you ever think about letting him go? Like,
which brings up some interesting points as well, but like,
yeah, no, and it's
tough.
It's an interesting argument because you could see how much it tears her apart when she even just wraps him up in the rug and he takes him away, because she's like, oh my God, I've just put another human's life in the hands of this guy who has done horrible things to her. And
I mean, I guess you can think it to like a point, but like you also have to be human and realize like she still needs something in there. And if the kid can be oblivious enough where, and like he wouldn't want to leave the mom anyways, first of all. Second of all, the guy wouldn't even take the kid out of the room till he was dead anyways, so that probably wouldn't have worked. But I mean, for her, it's like, maybe I should have tried harder. And then like she tried to commit suicide right after that, pretty much. Like that was the next scene. And then even when of course the kid finds her on the floor, like,
Yeah, no. And I find it's such, when I first finished it, I was like, I don't know what to give this, because it's such a great film, but at the same time, I hate when they get me, when they get me vulnerable.
it's perfect though.
But there's not a lot of films that can do that. And yeah. What's your final rating?
I'm giving this a 9.7.
I'm
I
giving
would
it
give
a 9.7 as well. That's
yeah,
what I give it. Yeah.
like, and I don't even know why I'm not giving it 100. I just feel like I have no explanation. I'm just gonna give it a 9.7. Like for why it wouldn't deserve higher, because I had no problems with it. I loved it. I don't know. I think it's also another movie where it's better watching it maybe by yourself or with one other person, or like.
It's definitely a movie that you can get more out of when you're watching it by yourself.
Because if maybe you're watching it with your friends, you're not gonna want to like maybe tear up a little, hold it in, but you got to just during this movie just like let it go. God damn.
And yeah, you know what? My only reasoning behind not giving it a perfect 10 was because of like how I'm not gonna say how easy it was for them to get out, but
I understood that as well.
But how like the escape part.
That was the only point in the movie where I was like, okay. That was the only part where I was like,
yeah.
So I'll go with that too, because I feel that.
Yeah.
But the great thing was, even the escape wasn't even the most like biggest part of the movie. That's what's crazy about it. It's like, it was almost like a transition point in the movie.
Yeah,
definitely. But it also gave it tension. Like,
we need to start reviewing some bad films, because we look like terrible reviewers, just giving everything upwards of like a 9. But
I mean, Midsommar was that was okay. I mean, that was like a fair.
What do I gave it like an 8 or something.
Yeah, 8.3. Anyways, this one deserved it. And I mean, people want to go see good movies anyways, so just watch this one. Even if you felt like you spoil stuff, it's just worth it for the performances and see how it was all put together. Because even in explanation, it tells you they escaped. So it's like this movie, like you know it's gonna happen anyways. So it's,
and like every actor's performance in the movie was amazing. Like I'm even talking. I don't know the actress's name that played the grandmother, but she was amazing. William H. Macy was great for the time that he was in it.
Yeah, they paid him for a little time there, but it was great.
And the uncle, my bad, the
stepdad.
Yeah.
At first, like I'm like, who's this guy? Is he gonna be a bad guy? But then he ended up being like the best. So yeah, there's a lot of sadness, a lot of happiness. But there's even really tense parts. Like when I've told people that I was gonna watch this, or I've talked about this movie, they always like, oh, that sounds creepy. But it was never like, I guess like it's kind of like the whole like, it's just creepy in general, but it's never like, it's not a creepy movie. You know what I mean?
Well, so once we're done this, go and watch the trailer, because that was one big thing that everyone got upset about, is because
they made that like a horror movie.
Yeah. Not so much a horror movie, but like just, and they also gave away a lot. But yeah, that's the problem with trailers.
Yeah, because it's about relationships, and like just it's really just about the relationship, but it's crazy, man. Crazy.
Now we got to shift over to the top 5 movies adapted from books. So obviously this movie was adapted by the author into a screenplay, so that kind of gave us the idea for this. I'll go with my first movie. I didn't really order these in top to bottom, but I'm gonna go Blade Runner is definitely one of them. I've mentioned that in a couple of other lists, but Blade Runner from the book what's it? It's Do Dream something about
that's like
Electric
a weird name.
Sheep.
That's like a really weird name, right?
I read it in high school for a project, and I didn't know that. Do androids
you didn't know
dream,
what it was? You didn't know it was the movie?
Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. Philip K. Dick, obviously one of the best sci-fi writers But yeah, no, and I think it's not easy adapting sci-fi to the screen, and one of the best ones.
Okay, I'm going No Country for Old Men because I didn't actually realize this is a book, and I kind of wish I knew that before I saw it because apparently it's actually like really accurate to what the book is. Like it keeps along the really similar story, and a lot of the lines are the same. So if you read the book first and then watch the movie, you can kind of be like, hey, like how that's really similar, and then it kind of gives the lines more impact. So that was one of the ones on my list.
Um, I gotta go Room once again. Like,
Yeah, I guess I'll throw
just
that on too.
I have to because it's one of the most powerful movies I've seen.
I'm
For
gonna have to
sure.
read the book now.
I don't think I need to address this story anymore, and
Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
worried that it'll be more detailed in the book. But I also don't think a book can pull at your heartstrings as much as
Seeing things on camera,
yeah,
yeah. Like reading about them running into each other's arms instead of seeing it
yeah.
is it's very different. Yeah. Um I'm gonna go with One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and Jack Nicholson's amazing in it. But apparently, it's like super different from the book. More in terms of it's from the perspective of like the chief. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie, but the chief in it, it's
Yeah.
like his perspective rather than Jack Nicholson's. And I feel like, at least in on screen, um, Jack Nicholson's perspective is a lot more probably interesting to see on camera just because he's a lot more wacky the camera. But also one for best adapted screenplay, like best actor, best actress, best picture. It's amazing. So, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
My next one I have is Perks of Being a Wallflower,
Mm.
and that's a movie I think we should actually review at some point. And
Yeah.
that's just another story that's really authentic for what the scenario is. Obviously, I haven't experienced something like that, but um, if I were to predict something the way it was going to go, it would be like that. Um, and the author was also very involved in the making of the film as well, which is always something you can count on when it's going to be good.
Okay, my next one is Silence of the Lambs. I haven't read a lot of these books, so it's mostly just me reading up on the books and kind of the similarities. But either way, even if it's not that similar, I just love the movie, and I think the performances. I mean, Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal is one of the best performances in cinema history, and it's just a creepy movie. And another movie where like I don't know, like scary books don't really I don't know, just like I said, seeing it on screen, I always find is more satisfying rather than like a book where they can kind of be a little more magical and where you can picture your own thing. Then in that way, it can be better. But for thrillers and creepy, it's always better to see it. So
Yeah, definitely. Okay, my next one I have is Lord of the Rings, and I'm gonna say that just because this is one of the few like fantasy books that didn't chop off like half of it just to fit screen time. Yeah, the who wrote it? J.R. Tolkien.
Tolkien.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm not sure how he actually feels about the
Wait,
movies.
say J.K.?
No, J.R. I'm pretty
Oh, yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, J.R.R. Tolkien or something. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I feel like you can like throw just like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings in there. Like they're obviously going to be like they're just two great movies, and that's another thing. It's like yeah, there's so many movies, but like there's so many like the books. There's enough. They give the book enough time to like put on screen pretty much, and especially for Lord of the Rings where they didn't rush it. They decided to pretty much make one big movie split up into three. So yeah.
yeah,
Um, what number are we at now? I made kind of a random list here,
I
but
have one more, so you should have
okay,
two.
yeah. Forrest Gump.
Hmm.
Apparently the book, and I read it, of course, but it's a little darker and more complex. But it's another movie where so many different things happen in that movie, and the story progresses so like oddly and in different places that like keeping up with the book's pretty interesting. So, and I just love the movie. It's one of the best of all time.
And my last one is gonna be Fight Club. Um,
Mine's Fight Club too.
okay, yeah, and I feel like that's pretty obvious just
Yeah.
because the story itself is pretty crazy. Um, and the film adaptation allows for a lot of different little Easter eggs and stuff to be in it.
And it's like I read the book first, so like seeing the movie was going to be really interesting to see kind of how they did it and put it on screens, and it was very satisfying. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that is our top 5 adaptations from books.
Bookies. Okay, we can go on to our Oscars for 2017. And I realized instead of just guessing like categories where we haven't really seen the book, we can kind of just, or seen the movies, we can kind of just like skip them instead of making stuff up. Okay, we're going to move on to the Oscars now. We are at year 2017. So these are the movies that were released in 2016. And well, we've been having some trouble with not really watching a lot of the movies in the categories or people that have won it. So if there's enough where it's like this is, we don't know enough, we're just not going to do it. But we can start with Best Picture, because if we're not doing Best Picture, we might as well not do any of it. So
there's a lot of nominations for Best Picture.
Yeah, this was I don't even like this year for movies. I didn't think it was that strong of a year. So a lot of these movies I think are on a little lower the list. But Moonlight, you saw it?
No.
Yeah, I didn't either. Okay, I thought you did. Arrival, you saw Arrival, right?
No.
Okay, I saw Arrival. Arrival was good, pretty much. It's another movie where it's like kind of a different reaction with aliens, kind of like District 9, except like totally, I mean, in terms of just mixing it up in the alien genre where they're actually trying to learn the language of them and they're quite peaceful.
Yeah.
It was really good. It was a really good movie. In any other year, I don't think it would be a Best Picture winner. I don't even know. I liked Lion. Did you see Lion?
No.
That was probably my favorite film of the year. Kind of sad, but also very interesting and really good acting, and just really strong story that drove it, and really compelling. So that was a good one. Hell or High Water is just kind of whatever. It's a good movie. Fences is pretty boring. Great acting though. So I think both of Denzel Washington and Viola Davis were nominated in that movie. But did you see any of these movies?
No.
Okay, cool. Manchester by the Sea is just extremely sad. Hacksaw Ridge is an amazing war movie. We should actually we should do that at one point. And so this is gonna be this is gonna be good. Then we'll keep going. We'll keep going. My grandma saw La La Land, but she was disappointed with the dancing. So
that is the extent of our knowledge of film.
Yeah, cinematography, I think La La Land makes sense. It's kind of shot a bit differently, but also just the dancing scenes and everything are not as easy to capture sometimes. Zootopia, did you see it? It's animated feature film? You saw Zootopia? There you go, Zootopia. So that one, it was up against Cuba and the Two Strings, Moana, My Life as a Zucchini, and The Red Turtle. Zootopia was good though. Yeah.
Costume design, Fantastic Beasts. So that's I saw that one.
That makes sense. That did a good job. OJ Made in America. That was good. Documentary. Yeah. That was good.
Realistically, I can't comment on any of these now that I'm looking at it.
Okay. Then I'll give what I know. Viola Davis was amazing in her supporting role on Fences. Probably one of her strongest performances that she's done. Yep. Actress in a leading role. Didn't see La La Land. I'm sure Emma Stone was great in it. Didn't see any of those movies either. Actor in a supporting role, Mahershala Ali. I heard he was great. I wouldn't be surprised. I heard Jeff Bridges was good. He's good in everything. And actor in a leading role, Casey Affleck. I can see that. Just a really depressing movie. But yeah, I'm not disappointed with it. Andrew Garfield's kind of more action movie in Hacksaw Ridge, and Ryan Gosling had to dance. So, and Denzel Washington was good in Fences. So, there's that. We have to figure out a movie to watch next.
Yeah.
We should do one we definitely haven't seen yet, so we can decide if it was bad or not.
Yeah. Wait. So let me check the list again.
Yeah.
That people sent us.
feel like people always give up good movies though. They want to see good movies.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe we should yeah.
Um,
That's tough. I don't know. I feel like a controversial one to watch would be Birdman, but I don't know if I want to watch that.
yeah, I know. I remember watching it and not liking it when I was younger, but I don't think I had the same really appreciation for the cinema as I used to, or as I do now. But I don't know. There's millions on millions of movies.
Let me go on Rotten Tomatoes right now, and I'm not gonna look at the.
Actually, do you want to pick a random one that I've been wanting to watch and know nothing about? Well, I know a bit about it.
Okay.
Revolutionary Road. I don't know if it's good or not.
Where is it?
I know you can get it through Ryerson Criterion, and let me see if it's on. Okay, so it's not on Netflix. That might make it a little more difficult for people if they want to watch the movie.
This is the difficult part of the episode, I guess. Let me go on Netflix right now, and I'll pick the first movie that I haven't seen.
Okay.
Okay. Signing in. Read some of the ones off the list. Do you have it there?
Yes, I do. Okay, I'll go over it again. There is The Room, or Room. We already saw that. The Disaster Artist, Birdman, Revenant, Wolf of Wall Street, Ex Machina, Animal House, Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels, Inception, Shutter Island, Prisoners, Leave No Trace. That's one I wanted to watch.
But is it because you would like it?
Yeah, I heard it's amazing.
Yeah, so that's a tough one to pick from. I've seen Shutter Island. I saw that. Have you seen? I'm scrolling through here. I've seen a lot of the Netflix ones. Have you seen Good Time?
Well, I was gonna say, Good Time. Let's do Good Time. I've been wanting to watch that. Let's do that.
It's another one from the people who made Uncut Gems.
Yeah, let's do Good Time.
Robert Safdie, or the Safdie brothers, yeah. Okay,
Let's
so
do
Good Time. Yeah.
That'll be it. I'm down for that.
So that's it. We that's our highest reviewed movie so far, Room. They just keep on getting higher, which is disappointing.
Let's hope it goes down.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, Good Time. It was definitely on my list to watch, so I'm definitely down for that. So we'll do that. And then let's try to watch Hereditary sometime soon.
Yeah, I'm down with whatever's going.
Okay, maybe we can do that next. Anyways, Good Time. That's the one we're doing. Watch it. Be there for a review. Bingo bongo.